The glass shattered again. It was the third time this week. Mr. Raymond Hale, one of the city's most powerful businessmen, closed his eyes and pinched the bridge of his nose as the sound of another terrified maid echoed through the marble halls. "Sir, I can't do this anymore," the woman stammered, clutching her bag, tears in her eyes. "That child, she's not normal." Before he could reply, she bolted for the door. And once again, silence fell upon the mansion, except for the faint giggle of a 7-year-old girl standing at the top of the stairs, a stuffed rabbit clutched in her arms, eyes too sharp for her age. Her name was Lily Hale. And no maid lasted more than 3 days with her. The mansion's staff whispered that Lily was cursed, or worse. Since her mother's death 2 years ago, she'd become a storm no one could calm. She'd scream for hours, destroy toys, lock doors, and whisper cruel things that no child should even understand. Mr. Hale tried everything: nannies from elite agencies, therapists, even private tutors flown in from overseas. Each one left trembling, swearing never to return. Until one cold morning, a woman named Clara Evans arrived. She wasn't glamorous like the others. No polished accent, no designer heels. Just a soft smile, a simple dress, and eyes that carried a quiet strength, the kind that comes from surviving life's harder edges. "I hear you need someone to look after Miss Lily," Clara said calmly when the butler hesitated at the door. "You won't last a day," he muttered under his breath. The first meeting didn't go well. Lily sat on the floor, building towers out of porcelain cups, expensive, fragile, clearly chosen to make Clara nervous. "You're not going to tell me to stop?" Lily asked, her voice oddly steady for a child. Clara crouched beside her. "Why would I? You're being very careful." Lily blinked. No adult had ever said that. Usually, they shouted before she even touched anything. The tower wobbled. One cup fell and shattered. Lily froze, waiting for the scream. Instead, Clara just sighed gently. "Looks like one didn't want to stay." Happens sometimes. That day, for the first time in months, Lily didn't throw a tantrum. Over the next weeks, the impossible began to happen. Clara didn't discipline Lily like others. She didn't raise her voice or bribe her with gifts. Instead, she listened. When Lily screamed, Clara waited until she was done, then handed her a tissue. When Lily broke something, Clara helped her clean it. When Lily stayed silent, Clara sat beside her in silence too. One afternoon, Clara found Lily sitting by her bedroom window, staring at the rain. "Do you miss her?" Clara asked softly. Lily's tiny hands gripped her rabbit. "Who? Your mom." The little girl's lips trembled, but she said nothing. Then, almost whispering, she said she'd never leave. But she did. Clara's eyes glistened. Sometimes love doesn't leave. Sometimes it just changes where it lives. Lily turned, confused. "Where does it go then?" "Into you," Clara said, placing a gentle hand on her chest. "And sometimes, into people who come to help you find it again." Mr. Hale noticed the change before he even understood it. Laughter began returning to the halls, soft, hesitant, but real. Lily started drawing again. She stopped locking herself in her room. Once, she even ran up to her father to show him a painting she'd made of Mom, Daddy, me, and Clara. The sight almost broke him. That night, Mr. Hale found Clara in the kitchen washing dishes. "I don't know what you're doing," he said quietly, "but, thank you." Clara smiled. She just needed someone who wasn't afraid of her pain. But peace didn't come without challenges. One evening, a reporter cornered Clara. Outside the mansion, snapping photos, shouting questions. Rumors had started that the mysterious maid was manipulating the millionaire, angling for a fortune. The next morning, Mr. Hale's business partners urged him to fire her, claiming it was for his reputation. Clara overheard. Her heart sank, but she didn't plead. Instead, she packed her small bag, ready to leave quietly. That's when Lily ran into the hall, clutching Clara's hand. "Don't go," she cried, tears streaking her cheeks. "You promised love doesn't leave." Mr. Hale froze. Something in that moment shattered the walls around his heart. He knelt, taking his daughter in his arms. "She's not leaving, sweetheart. Not this time." He looked up at Clara, eyes filled with unspoken gratitude. "Stay, please." Months passed. Under Clara's care, Lily bloomed like a flower after a long storm. She smiled more, laughed freely, and began sleeping through the night without nightmares. One evening, Lily handed Clara a small box wrapped in blue ribbon. Inside was a crayon drawing. Clara holding her hand, the sun shining overhead. "It's us," Lily said proudly. "You're my family now too." Tears filled Clara's eyes. "That's the best gift I've ever gotten." Mr. Hale, standing quietly behind them, finally spoke. "You've done what no one else could, Clara. You brought my daughter back, and maybe, you brought me back too." Their eyes met, warm, genuine, and filled with something neither had expected to find again, hope. Months later, when people passed by the Hale mansion, they no longer whispered about curses or chaos. Instead, they saw a father, a daughter, and a woman who turned grief into grace, proving that love doesn't need wealth or perfection, only patience and kindness. Clara didn't just tame the millionaire's little daughter. She healed two broken hearts, doing the impossible not with magic, but with love that refused to give up.